Hi, it's Richard, and welcome to the Conscious Marketer podcast. Hi, Kylie. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great, and we just got off a call with some new people we're working with, and that always kind of energizes us to see new people launching their programs. And one of the things that we love to talk about is different aspects of mindset that brings people forward when they do their online courses and launches and marketing. And one of the most powerful energies that I think a person can have when they go online is the power of conviction. And we've kind of broken this down for you, and what we call it is the four pillars of conviction. So it's one thing to say, hey, just have more conviction. And so what we want to do is kind of really dive deep and say, well, what does that mean? And so let's just get going, and we'll talk about these four pillars and how you can bring it into your marketing. Does that sound good?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's such an important thing for me, possibly the most important thing for me. So, yeah, I'm psyched to be talking about this.
Yeah, and just as a quick pre-frame before we get into four, what we found is we would watch different videos from people, and they could be using the same formula and same ideas, but some people would show up with more presence and more energy, and we defined it as is that they had more conviction in what they were offering into the market, and so that's kind of how this teaching came about. Okay, so the first pillar of conviction is your core values. And what we find is that a lot of people online have not actually defined what values they are most important, but those that have, when they bring that into their marketing, it makes a huge difference. So for example, within Conscious Marketer, one of our values is over delivery. And we can talk a lot. I can talk a lot about over delivery, and then when I'm talking about the programs we create, I'll just go deep. I'll talk about how we over deliver in terms of our community and the content, both the amount and quality, and how we really want people to actually complete the program. So we're not just dumping information on you, but trying to guide you through kind of step by step. So as I talk about this deeper value that we have of over delivery, people get that what they get is underneath that is that we actually really care, and deep caring is another one of our values. And so when I go online and talk about a program or talk about something I'm doing, I want to bring my highest values to the forefront, because then people can know what I stand for in the market.
I love that. And I was thinking about this campaign, this marketing campaign, advertising campaign I read about in my favorite book that I talk about all the time, Winning the Story Wars. And it was called the True Beauty Campaign. Now, I'm just sharing a story that was in a book. I'm not saying that Dove soap is a good company, a bad company. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they use horrible chemicals in their soap, but they stated that truth and beauty were part of their values. And so they did this commercial video. It was so cool, called the True Beauty Campaign. And they actually had a woman who was like wearing a ton of makeup and airbrushed. And what they did was they reversed it. So as you were watching her, the makeup was coming off, the airbrushing was coming off, all the way till there was no more makeup, and they were trying to show from that perspective that she was quite beautiful just as she was. And they did a series of different commercials like this in the campaign, and it was very, very successful. So I think that's another way to think about it, is like you're talking about the experience that people are having of your values, and we absolutely do over deliver with our last mastermind that we had, the fellowship, and then with our course right now, Conscious Launch Accelerator. People are getting way more than what they paid for, which is awesome. I love it. And there's also this opportunity to bring it into, a video like that, and to show, how do I tell a story around my value? How do I show my values in a visual way, or even in an email or something like that. But I think it's really cool when you can show it visually as well. So that's just something to think about too.
Yeah, I love it. And so just kind of summarize this core values is, show up online and know what you stand for, and then bring it into whatever you're doing, whether it be, a post or a video or a live or on your webinar, and bring your value, bring your core values in, because then people can see what you represent. Okay, the second pillar of conviction is what we call core competency. And sometimes we say this is your magic or your secret sauce. And this is really about you staying in your lane with what you're best at. And so not trying to be something that you're not, or not trying to be everything, but being the thing that you're best at and that you've actually honed, that you've developed some mastery in. And if you're just sharing and talking and teaching, especially about what you're most passionate and what you've spent time mastering, then you're going to have conviction with that because it's the thing that you're best at in the world. You know, there's a lot of different terms for this. So this core competency is really important, and you'll find that if you step out of your core competency, your conviction goes down dramatically, and that makes sense because you haven't mastered all the sub things that maybe other people can do better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We were just talking to a person on one of our, I don't like to call it coaching calls because I'm not a coach, but maybe mentoring calls would be a better way to say it. And she was really asking, look, I'm introverted. Look, I'm shy. Look, I don't like marketing. How do I get out there and do it? And it really is conviction. And in terms of conviction, it really does match what you're talking about, which is that core competency, which you also call your magic and your secret sauce, because those types of obstacles become like their potency becomes smaller and smaller and smaller when you stand in the truth of I'm really good at this thing and it's what I'm here to do. And if you're really clear about what you're here to do, then you will then be able to move into business, into marketing with a lot more conviction, even when it's hard. You know, we deal with really hard stuff all the time. It's a fast-paced agency. We crank out a ton of content. We sometimes have very unreasonable deadlines, and sometimes we work really hard into the night or early in the morning, and like that's not always right. But when those sort of bumps in the road happen, we have to stay connected to like, what am I really good at? What's my magic? What am I really good at? And that helps me kind of ride those waves as well. So when things get hard, and they inevitably do, this is a really powerful thing to come back to, I think. So that's how I really look at it. And one more thing that I will say about it is sometimes, depending on where you're at in your business journey, people will say, what is my magic? What is my secret sauce? What am I good at? I don't really know. And what I tell them is, what do people come to you for naturally? Do they come to you because you're a good listener? Do they come to you because you're great at writing? I have people come to me all the time, will you look at my copy? And I've had to start saying no, even to my very dear friends. But my core competency is with words. And so I know that I can go out into the world and use that in multiple ways. And it does give conviction. And so if you don't know what that magic or secret sauce is, go ask people or pay attention to what people are naturally asking from you anyways, whether that's family, friends, clients, and you'll start to hone that in. And when you start to hone it in, you can use it as a pillar for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, that's such an excellent point because the thing that you're really best at in the world, it comes so natural to you often. Even if you've mastered the crafts, it's so easy for you now that you think that it should be easy for everybody else. And so, like Kylie said, have people reflect back what that is to you if you're looking for that core competency. All right, let's get into the third pillar of conviction, and that is your core method. And so you have this magic, you have the secret sauce, you have this competency, but really what people are coming to you for is they want you to sprinkle some of that onto them. And so the way you can do that is you need to create kind of more of a systematized method, formula. And what you want to do is be able to work with somebody so that you can transfer your magic over to them. And so that's why people are going to hire you. And so you don't really want to come at it from an angle where you're having to create how you teach fresh every time. So this might be a course you develop or a series. It could be an event, online or offline. But you want to have a proven method that you take people through that's systematized. And so you're not doing this on the fly. Now, when you have the method, why this is related to conviction is because when you have to teach other people and you create a systematized method, then you can lean into that. And then as you work with more people, you're going to keep refining the system. So the system gets better and better and better. And then you know that that system works. And so if somebody hires you to do something, coaching or for a course or whatever it is, you know that you have a system that's replicatable to help the most number of people in the fastest way possible.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And it gets people out of that one-to-one grind also, because once you systematize your work, then you are able to take multiple people through it at the same time. And then, if you have levels in your business, let's say you have a lower level as far as pricing, and then a middle, and then a higher level, you then just use your system in different ways. So I love this. And Richard gave me a system. He was like, Kylie, you're a mess. No, he didn't say that. But he said that I should kind of codify my work or systematize my work. And he came up with the story marketing method. And so what we created together, which was really cool, a couple of maybe like 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, was this way of looking at the story marketing through the lens of an actual funnel, like every piece of the funnel. And we started with archetypes, which was really cool, but then from there we really built, what does a story-based email look like, what does a story-based social post look like. And so it's a way of really sharing what I have been good at for a long time, or good enough at, as it were, to where multiple people could learn from me, and I don't have to sit there with each person and go, okay, this is what it is. And that does lead to conviction as well, because the more people that you send through your work and the more results that they get, it is convicting. It is like, oh man, this works. I just sent 1,000 people through this program this year, and they're all having some transformation. Instead of, I worked with 10 people one on one, I feel a little tired. and, and so it's like that. And also financially it's better too. So that also leads to conviction in your business. So I like this. I like systematizing. I think it's super, super important. And I think that's all I have to say about that. But I hope that you all go out and do it, because it's a game changer. Even if you're already doing group programs, even if you're already doing masterminds, if the body of work isn't in that system, it just makes everything harder, I believe. And so, yeah, you get to help more people, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah, I love that, Kylie. I love how you're saying that the method also creates some time freedom for you, and you can, if you can have a full calendar and actually push clients away too if you don't have a system, because energetically you're having to kind of create the wheel every time. And so like energetically you could get online, and part of you is like, I want to create more clients. And there's another part of you that's like, oh my God, I don't need any more clients. I'm already feel too stressed out. I'm already overloaded. But when you have a system that you can turn into, then it's less your energy and you lean into the system more. And like Kylie mentioned, you can create this group program. So let's go on to the fourth pillar of conviction. And this is probably my most favorite. And I think that of all of these, this is the one that if you have this, you can always lean into this before you go live. And this fourth pillar is core case studies. And so what you want to kind of have is people that you've worked with that have gotten transformational results. And the more of these you have using your system, leveraging your competency in alignment with your values, the more case studies you have, the more testimonials you'll have. Then when you get online, you're going to be sharing and offering something that gets actual results. And so whether you're highlighting one of those case studies or you're mentioning it, or even if it's just in the background in your psyche that you just did this program with 100 people and say half of them launched their programs or whatever the thing is, you can kind of lean into that energetically. So when you get on that video, that you're doing the work to create results. And it's not so much about, say, selling more product or selling whatever you're selling, but it's about helping the people that you're serving. And then when you get online, it's just a lot easier because then you're just making an offer. Hey, I have this group of people that I've helped create this transformation. If you want that transformation too, I'd love to work with you because I know it works. And there's just endless ways that you can share case studies. Maybe that's another podcast for us, but I think this core case studies is, no matter what, if you have that, then it makes a lot of sense to kind of lean into that before you go live and as you're writing your posts, etc.
Yeah, we interviewed my dear friend Paula a week or so ago for the podcast, and she's my most used case study. I used her as a case study for a client that he worked for or worked with, gosh, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. She was one of the top performers of that company, a client of that company, and then I would use her also in my own brand because she created a $10,000 win the first day that she told her story. And what I found is that people think often when you talk about your own results, they think, yeah, that's great, but it's just you, or you're better than me, or I can't get those results, or this or that or the other. And so what happens when we show other people getting those results is that that starts to kind of melt away a little bit for people. And that just makes it more likely that they're going to work with you and your community is going to build around you. Paula also, when she hired me to work with her, she also wrote a story to where she felt really nervous about it because she felt like, part of it was about her brother. She didn't want to hurt her brother. She wasn't even doing anything harmful in her story. She got really nervous. The other piece was English is not her first language. And she was afraid to tell the story because of that. She was afraid to write it. She was afraid for so many reasons. And she ended up with, yeah, this $10,000 win, but also firing her copywriter and writing 3 emails that sold out a $5,000 retreat in Mexico, which required travel and everything like that, just from 3 emails she wrote herself. And when I share a lot of that stuff, the people who are just afraid to write or share their story, they can see all the obstacles that she had that they didn't have. And then they lean in and say, okay, maybe this can also work for me. And so it's like this feedback loop of conviction, positivity, support, clarity that I could never create on my own, just educating people about storytelling or telling my own stories around storytelling. Paula's story is the most powerful story that I have. And so we want to start to collect these as we help people. If you don't have a ton of case studies, then go out and help people for free and get some. And if you've got a lot of case studies, make sure that they're emotional. Throw some twists and turns and challenges in there to make them more emotional. So those are just a little couple of tips from writing hundreds of case studies that hopefully will help you and also just help you in business and life and all of that.
Yeah, and just to add what Kylie said, if you've created the result in yourself, say you've done a diet or created some financial result or whatever you're offering, then you can use yourself as an example as well, because it's true, but it is better to use other people because, like Kylie said, they may say, "Oh, that's because you had special circumstances." And if you don't have case studies, like Kylie said, you can go out and you can also lean into these other 3 aspects of conviction. So conviction is these 4 pillars, and so you can lean in to your values, your competency, and this method you've created as well. So that's why they're all important. When you leverage all 4 together, it's like this superpower. And what I would say, how I would use this is you can use these as triggers, like before you're going to write a post, like think through these 4 things before you go on video, think through these things, or just take one aspect, say, just go into the method that you spent, say, dozens of hours creating, and just think about how much love and effort you've put into creating your method, or have a bank of like 3 case studies that you carry around with you and read right before you're about to go live, because then you'll remember why you're doing it. You'll remember why you need to post. You'll remember the people's and lives that you're going to transform by getting your offer out there. And we all know what conviction looks like. We've all been on the receiving end of somebody that's so passionate and so confident that what they do is going to create results. And inwardly, they can be fumbling their words, or the offer can be not the best, but if they have that energy, we go, we really want to be part of that. We want some of that. We want some of that same energy. And we believe the person can deliver it because they're living it. And so I think this is probably one of my favorite podcasts, because I think that if we had more people that spoke from these 4 places, then we'd have more truth online. We'd have more people really stepping in their full power to give their gifts in the world, which we need more of everywhere.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I know for me, conviction gets me out of bed. It gets me through being tired. It makes me happy. It helps me connect with people. So, it helps me overcome the harder things and it makes me enjoy the more enjoyable things. And I feel like everyone listening to this podcast is a convicted person or they wouldn't be attracted to this type of marketing in the first place. So, I just encourage you all to really consider for those four pillars, where are you at with it? You know, is there places where you could grow? Is there places where you're doing great? I think it's an important inventory to take and just see what else you might need to be taking into your business, into your marketing efforts, and where you're really, really shining through and, grow a little in area one and congratulate yourself in area two.
Well said, Kylie. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. This has been a great episode, and you can find out more about us at consciousmarketer.com. You can get the show notes at consciousmarketer.com/podcast. And we're not running ads here. So the one ask we have is if you can go on iTunes and leave an honest review. That really helps us get more people and to reach more people. We also run a launch accelerator. You can go to consciousmarketer.com/accelerator. That's a rolling program. And that's how we help people get their programs out into the market in 90 days. So we invite you to check out that offer too. Thanks everybody for joining us. It's an honor to have you here, and we'll have you on the next podcast.